I'm thinking if the effect of being out of harmony with love is direct after we're dead. Doesn't that...
Can I say it's always direct? It's just that we don't see it directly when we're in a physical form.
Okay, but if you see it directly when you're dead, that sounds like an opportunity to evolve fast.
Spot on.
And
it is.
Why is people staying in hells
for a long time?
Or why?
Good question. Very good question. The reason why is they've become so addicted to doing their unloving things that they have to get over their addictions before they will begin to love. Do you know what? How many of you have had to give up an addiction? Like, yeah. How hard was it? For the majority of us, it's pretty hard, right?
Yes.
Isn't it? Like you spend years and years and years sometimes giving it up, and even after years, sometimes you're still attracted to it. Yep. This is what it's like here. They are so addicted to doing unloving things, and they are so addicted to not being humble, that it takes them time to work through those addictions. And for many, it takes thousands of years to work through those addictions of time, because they don't have anybody saying, you have to do it. See, one of the things that we have on earth still is we have law. In other words, you're driving down the road here, and there's a speed limit sign that says, 60 kilometres per hour. You're driving down the road, and you're driving there 90 kilometres per hour. Now, for some of you, you'll feel like, that's fine, as long as there's no policeman around the place. Right? But if there's a policeman, what do? You slow back to 60 kilometres per hour, or 63, or 65, right? Now, you imagine in the spirit world there are no policemen. In other words, you can do anything you want, but it's limited to your location. So in other words, the people in the hells can only do things that the hells allow them to do. But they can do anything they want. They don't have to change. They will only change when they decide to become humble and actually want change. Now, can you see that for the majority of people on earth, we're always trying to get away with things, yes? We try to get away with doing this, get away with doing that. We want to break the rules. In the spirit world, you can do anything you want, but you are limited only by the rules of that location. There's no policeman that comes along and books a ticket and says you shouldn't have done that, naughty boy. None of that. Now, if you had complete autonomy like that yourself, do you think it would be easy or hard to change? Can you see how sometimes it would actually be harder to change if you have an addiction? So if you have an addiction that you need to fix up, it often is difficult to change. This is why if you learn how to change when you're on earth, you're 100 miles ahead, 100 kilometres ahead of anyone else. Because you've learnt how to change. You've learnt the basics of your life, the basics of change. If you pass into that location without knowing the basics of change, it could take you many hundreds and potentially thousands of years before you even have a desire to know. That's the problem. And so the majority of people who pass into there are very resistive to being told anything. Now, there are many people who come down from the higher dimensions who try to tell them. They say to them, look, it's all about humility. Now, you imagine trying to tell a murderer who murdered most of his life on earth that it's all about humility. He doesn't understand the first time you tell him. It's highly unlikely he will understand the first time. You might have to go back many times, and it will only be when he wants to understand, generally, that you'll be able to explain it to him and he'll understand. And this is the trouble with entering spirit world in that location, is we're so addicted to certain things that to give them up requires so much effort that we finish up not giving them up for a long time. That's the reason why.
So is it not really the same thing, like if you go to someone or someone is asking you something and they get triggered by it, they're saying you're unloving or whatever, and they're not open for it.
Yes.
So there's that kind of...
Yes. How many, I very rarely if ever angry with anybody, right? But often I get lots of rage. Of course, I say many confronting things. That's the reason why. But a lot of times the people will actually tell you that you're to blame for them being angry with you, or you're to blame for them being violent with you. Right? Now, these people in the hells feel exactly the same way. That you're to blame for their pain. And they don't want to take any personal responsibility for their own pain. So if we can learn to do it here on earth, before we pass, we have a great head start. That's the thing.